Hey everybody, Jake here. Welcome back to Movie Smoothie, where today we have a Rick and Morty Season 6 theory video talking about Episode 5 that does not come out until October 9th. So, since we have a bit of a wait, let's talk about some theories with this new preview that we just got yesterday. So, before we talk about that, of course, if you guys can like this video and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. So, talking about this preview for a second here. In the preview, we see Rick using some of his body modifications to spy around this Fortune 500 company. And I'm sure that this is, of course, referring to the list of the top 500 companies in the US, but it does lead me to believe that Rick and Jerry are on some sort of heist here. Maybe to steal something from, like, the biggest corporation in the galaxy or something along those lines. We don't really have a lot to work with here. But it looks like they're in some kind of gigantic facility or building, or maybe even something out in the middle of, like, space somewhere. It's this huge company, huge evil Galactic Federation company or something like that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. We're just talking theories today, as I said. But there's some hilarious things here that are pretty cool. So like I was talking about the body modification, something we haven't seen Rick use lately. Maybe he's trying to steal some tech to fix up like the portal technology too, which is something that we've seen him struggle with in the past couple of episodes for sure. So it'd be cool if maybe he's trying to steal something that could possibly fix this somehow, because it seems like he, as we know from the first episode of the season, he's kind of unable to do anything about that situation. So we'll have to see what happens. Let's see what happens there. I'm kind of hoping episode 5 maybe touches on that a little bit. Even though I am enjoying that this season's a little more restrained than the past seasons. It's been really cool for that reason. I've been really digging these first 4 episodes. They've all been consistently a lot of fun. I don't know how you guys are feeling about that. Leave me something about it in the comments, of course, but I am really vibing with this new season. It feels different, but still feels familiar, almost like in seasons 1 and 2. Like it has those seasons 1 and 2 vibes, while doing something different. No dimension hopping, which I think is a fun kind of tool to restrain themselves. It makes the writing, you got to be more creative this way. You know, it makes the writing all the more crazier for that reason too. I love the Sailor Moon sequence, which is hilarious. And they talk about like, oh, well, if we ever need to use this again, Jerry, we can just play this back again one more time, so we can save money on the animation, which I think is great. That's so funny. I almost hope it doesn't come back in this specific episode, but if they bring it back in like the last episode of season 6, he just transforms into Rick's assistant. I think that would be such a great callback joke. And we're already seeing some nice callbacks to even season 1 here, which I didn't even realize this about last week's episode, The Night Family, which so far has been my favorite of season 6. We have this scene where Summer gets revealed to be like, oh, she's still night person Summer, which you don't realize until about 2/3 of the way through the episode. But she has this nice callback line where she says, your opinion doesn't really mean that much to me, Rick, or whatever. And this is something that, of course, Rick said to her in season 1, episode 6 for the first time. At least that's the first time we've heard that. Rick has said that a few times at this point. He doesn't really give too many fucks about what other people think. So, and he makes that very clear to just about everybody in his life, which is pretty funny. But another thing I want to talk about here is Jerry is in Morty's clothing, which I don't really know what's up with. At first, before he does this Sailor Moon sequence, of course, he's in Morty's clothing, and I think that's pretty interesting because there's so many things we can theorize about that. Is this Morty who accidentally got turned into a Jerry somehow? Or maybe is this like one of those things where it's like Jerry and Morty are like swapping each other's lives or whatever? Jerry is living a day in the life of Morty, and Morty is doing the opposite. Morty's living at home. Maybe that's the subplot, like the B plot of this episode. Is Morty just staying at home, being the dad of the family? Something along those lines could be kind of fun, I think, especially with, like, I just love Jerry and Rick episodes. I've talked a lot about how much I love the Whirly Durly episode, which it's just so underrated. It's such a nice character study of both Rick and Jerry and seeing how they react and how they are kind of at each other's throats all the time, and how this is most of the time perpetrated by Rick. But the Whirly Durly episode is the first time that Jerry really gets the upper hand over Rick for once, which I think is pretty cool. It's one of my favorite episodes for that reason, and this is shaping up to be something similar to that. I really do love their dynamic and exploring that a little more, and I'm excited to see what kind of elements and themes we explore in this episode. But getting back on track, because wow, that was a crazy side tangent. Could this be the case? Is maybe Jerry and Morty swapping places? Is that why we see Jerry in Morty's clothes here? Well, from the season 6 trailer we got, there's also this sequence where has to be something that takes place before this sneak preview we got. we get this shot where it's Jerry once again in Morty's clothing. So it has to be before this because he's changed into his assistant outfit, and they made a big statement about that here in this preview. They're at like a Panda Express and they're getting attacked by a bunch of like aliens and shit. I wonder what's going on. Maybe once again going back to my Galactic Federation thing. This is something we haven't touched on in Rick and Morty in a while. It's been a bit since we saw Rick and his conflict with all that shit. I mean, we touched on that in the Bird Person episode last season, of course, but it's been a while since Rick and since any like movements or any developments have happened with the Galactic Federation. Maybe they're pissed off at Rick because they probably think it's his fault that the Citadel of Rick's blew up or whatever. I'm assuming, I really want to see Rick kind of have to pay for all of that, even though it wasn't technically his fault. It was Evil Morty's fault who disappeared. By the way, I don't think we've seen the last of Evil Morty either, but I would love to see the Galactic Federation come back, those little bug alien creatures maybe coming after Rick. That could be essentially what's happening here, maybe, and that's why he's going into this, like one of their big companies or something. That's why we see the Fortune 500 thing on that truck in the background. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure all this out, but the other aspect of this could be Jerry accidentally or intentionally wears Morty's clothes. Rick just grabs him without thinking and realized too late it's actually just Jerry, but mistakes both of them because, you know, they are both in the same lineage, and Rick just does not give a fuck about anybody, as we stated before. So could that be the case? Jerry has committed to some weird things clothing-wise in the past. If you remember from the end of season 1, he wore his shirt backwards and said, fuck it. He's like, this is actually the way I like to have it. And Summer and Morty were, of course, freaking out because they were frozen in time for the longest time. That's actually season 2, episode 1, to correct myself there, now that I'm remembering. So I could see that being the case too, but I'm almost thinking that it makes more sense to do the day in the life thing, I think, to have them have a role reversal and to swap places. We don't really have too much character development between Morty and Jerry, and that could be that. I think would be cool, like to see that relationship a little more. There's not too much of that in Rick and Morty. There's only a few times I can think when like Morty and Jerry have had like a big episode or a big like relationship development or something like that. It's mostly Morty and Rick's relationships that are developed the most on this show. So to see something like that take place in an episode where they're kind of divided in each other's shoes could be fun to see, especially as an A and a B plot. That's kind of my working theory right now, but we have until October 9th at 11:30 Eastern time until we find out the real answers. But what do you guys think about season 6 episode 5? What do you think is going to happen in this episode? Please leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this brand new episode on Movie Smoothie. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more I almost said horror content, because my main page is a horror movie update page called KillJoy Jake. I highly recommend checking that out as well. And please subscribe. I'm almost at 13,000 subscribers over there. And of course, subscribe to this page too, so we can get to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for watching again. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.